made a screenshot then.
Okay. Okay, now ready. It's ready.
Awesome.
Tell me.
You mean the question?
Yes.
Well, the question is, I think in your latest video on Kilesa, toward the, you've been discussing Niramisa Sukha versus Samisa. And my understanding of Niramisa per what you described in the video is that there's Niramisa only when there's no raga. So when there's no raga, even for the experience itself. But from but at the same time, when I have jhana, let's say I'm a jhana experience, usually there's attachment to the jhana, right? So there's definitely raga for the jhana experience, from as far as I can tell. So my question would be whether that's Niramisa or it's Samisa, because in the video you said even when you're having a nice experience from practicing kata and the sila and all that, you can still having a samisa experience. But at the same time, when I talked to you in chat, you said all the jhanic experience are niramisa. So I'm slightly confused. I'm supposing it's a combination of both. So the part.
No, the thing is that it is not raga, it is chanda.
Okay.
Okay, so there is something called a chanda raga. In many places, Buddha uses that. Chanda raga. Okay, so it's not that we will be having. So basically, when we get into the jhana, you will get into kama is reduced or suppressed or whatever you want to call. So he says vivichehi kamehi vivichehi akusala dhammehi. Then he says savitaka savicha piti sukha ekagata and all that. Okay, so then that is what the jhana is all about. Now in this you will have chanda, you will not have kamaraga, or you will not have chandaraga. Okay, and the chanda will go away when you attain the 9th jhana, when there is no feeling and no perception.
Okay, so when we say we have attachment to the jhana experience,
it is a chanda.
The attachment is synonymous with the chanda.
Correct. So there's the ajhosa is the word for attachment, not chanda. Chanda is the liking. So without liking, without that intention of liking, you cannot attain anything in life. So there is one sutta. There is one sutta between Ananda and another monk, another fellow who has come there, and he asked, Ananda, tell me in correct words, what is that Buddha explains? He says, cutting off chanda. And then he asked, you just now said that without chanda you cannot achieve anything. So he says that you have to remove chanda through chanda. And then he says that I am not able to understand it. And he gives a simile. He says that, let's say you had an interest of going to a park, and you went to the park, and after finishing that park you came and met me. So after meeting me, your interest or your liking or whatever it is removed. So he gives that as a simile.
Interesting.
Okay, so basically when we say Niramisa or Samisa, Misa is mixed. Samisa means what is mixed. Niramisa is not mixed. Now we'll have to ask question, what is mixture? What is mixed with? It is mixed with something sensual about something.
So sensual meaning directly related to the sixth sense.
Yes, sixth sense is where the mind is enjoying the subtlest part of it.
Okay. But let's say I'm contemplating on Dhamma Vishaya. That itself brings some, let's say, joy. And isn't that somewhat related to the mano sense door? Or
No,
is
you better read. If see that just gets into so much muddled into intellectual. If you look at the Masatipatthana Sutta, he talks about Sukha, right? You just
Mhm.
go to that section, you'll be able to understand it better. So he talks about the uh, the sensual pleasure, sensual plane, and sensual neutral, and
Mm.
the non-sensual pleasure, non-sensual pain, and non-sensual neutral.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so he
Mhm.
talks about that. So he says Vedana. So you have Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, Asukha, Adukha Vedana, right? And then
Mhm.
he says Samisa Vedana, Niramisa Vedana. So Samisa is when you are not in jhana. Niramisa is when you are in jhana.
Okay. So any type of jhanic bliss is completely niramisa
Niramisa
in nature.
because it blocks the sensuality.
Okay. Although in the lighter jhanas, the first or two jhana, the sensuality can still arise. It still can. You could still coexist to some
It
degree.
seems to coexist in the first jhana, not after that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Because there is Vitakka Vichara and hence it seems to be coexisting. So the Gatha or Etan, Santan, Etan, Panitan, etc., when we say we are in the first jhana, that is when it cuts the Kama Chanda.
Okay.
Chanda is liking, Kama is sensual, senses. So going towards the senses, flowing towards the senses is blocked at the first jhana. So then you have Vitakka Vichara gone, and then you attend the second jhana where you get piti because now you are rid of that sensuality. Okay, and then you have piti, sukha, ekagata. Then you go to the third jhana. Then when you enter into third jhana, the piti and the Vitakka Vichara are not there. Sukha and ekagata is there. And when you go to the fourth jhana, the Vitakka Vichara, Piti, Sukha are dropped and only equanimity is maintained. In the fourth
Mhm.
jhana, when you go, there is absolutely no Samisa Sukha.
Okay. Okay. But in
Why?
the first
Why?
three, there
Why?
could still be.
Why? I'll tell you. When you do the first jhana, the Vachi Sankhara is gone. When you do the second jhana and the third jhana and come to the fourth jhana, the body sankhara, kaya sankhara is not there. There is no asapasa. So what happens? That there is no breath. Without the breath, the mind is still. There's no movement and hence cannot move towards sensuality. That's another way of seeing it. Okay.
Mm.
Let's say I just want to utter Buddha Gatha or something. So I sit and recite. It will have Samisa.
Ah.
I have not got into any
So,
jhana.
yeah, so that's the confusion I guess I have. So sometime when I'm like restless, I just go and I go Namo Tassa, and immediately I feel the bliss, some sort of
But
peace.
you are not practice vivichehi kamehi vivichehi akusala dhammehi. That you are not done. You are just straight away telling the gatha. So it will not work. Meaning it will work, but it will be having tinge of sensuality.
Okay, so let's say after I do the Namo Tassa and I do the Buddha Saranam Gacchami and all that, and you'll be in some sort of peace, right? So how much of that is Niramisa and
Not
how
the
much is Samisa?
percentages, not the percentages. If you really want to have a Samis Niramisa Sukha, what you need to do is you need to go by the Samanna Palasutta. What he says, he first says you establish Sila, then you look at when you come to Samadhi portion of it, he starts with Nivarna, then you have to close all the sense doors and then you get Niramasa. So when I really get into that Ethan, Santan, Ethan, Panitan, or whatever I want to take, I should have done this previously before coming here. So let's say I immediately start on that. What would happen? There would be a tinge of sensuality. Now you can't say how much is that is sensuality, meaning as a percentage. Okay, now you tell me, okay, now I am actually prostrating to the Buddha. Now you tell me how much is that percentage wise. Is it 30% or 40%? How can I do that? There's nothing like that.
But it will be a mix, right? Is what you're saying. It will be a mix.
It would be definitely a mix, because how do you
Okay.
know it is a mix or no mix? When you stop that, your mind will again come back to sensuality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it depends on whether sila is already established to a good extent, right?
Yes.
If it has, then it probably has more niramisa.
Yes.
When you just do that, immediately it goes
Yes.
into niramisa.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's clear. So I think I read the Niramisa Sutta, where it clearly explains that Niramisa is what the jhana gives, right?
Yes.
But it also gives a third level. It's the I think it's even more what's the word? Even more Niramisa. What's the Niramisa Tara Upeka?
Now you just
Niramisa.
give me that sutta number.
SN 36.31.
Okay. So now we spoke about. See, he says, what is Samisa Sukha? Katamancha Bhikkave Samisa Sukham. Right? So he says
Yes.
that Chakku Vinyana Rupa, with that, all of that, 5 things, 6 things.
Yes.
Itta, Kanta, Manapa, Piya Rupa, Kamusa, Upasamhita, Rajaniya. Okay, for everything, that is what it's going to be. And the jhanik are that. Okay, and what is even more spiritual pleasure?
Yes.
Niramisa Sataram Sukham. Niramisa Sata. Sata is to stay. Okay, so you will stay there. You'll not come back anywhere.
So this is basically saying you're just staying there.
Yes, you are immersed in that. You are not withdrawing, or it's not reducing, or it's not fading, or whatever it is. So when there is no raga, dvesha, moha, you stay there.
So an arhat will stay in that Niramisa Satara.
Yes.
Okay, so the Niramisa is not more supreme. It's not really more. This is says more spiritual, but it's even more. So it's not qualitatively. It's not different. It just stays.
See, he is given both kinds. So let's look at one by one, right? So one is material, that is Samisa Sukha, he has explained, right? Niramisa Sukha, he has explained. Then he says, what is even more spiritual pleasure? Niramisa Sataram Sukham. Okay. Then he talks about Samisa Upekha.
Is it Niramisa Sataran or Niramisa Tara?
It's not Tara.
Or
Niramisa Itaram. Oh, sorry, you're right. Niramisa Itaram. That is Niramisa Taram, right?
Ataram, yeah. Ataram.
Other than. Sorry.
Oh.
Not staying there. It is other than. Meaning, whatever I have told you, what is this other than?
Okay.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Other than the normal one, right? If you look at this, Niramisa, right? Taram. which will be something different than what you have experienced.
So is that to say an arhat will experience a even more supreme level of Niramisa?
Yes, the pleasure which arises, see, he has written there, no, when a bhikkhu has ended a defilement, reviews their mind free from greed, hate, and delusion, pleasure and happiness arises. This is called even more spiritual pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, my question is, how's that even more experience feel like?
And that you should experience and see it.
Okay.
See, the thing is, see, you are not able to get it. There is a reason, I'll tell you. See, now you have suppressed the Kamachanda and you are gone into four jhanas. Okay, let's say there is no suppression, there's no need to suppress. Then what happens? It becomes what is speaking, that is even more higher pleasure.
Okay. Are you able to experience the differences?
Yes, definitely I can experience difference between when there is a raga, dvesha, moha is there and you just suppress it, the experience is different. And when you don't have it at all, the experience is totally different.
Okay.
You would, I'll tell you how that experience would be. You will feel lighter in the jhana. And there is an expansion in the heart. You feel really cool sensation in the heart. This is in Niramisa Sukha.
I see.
And that higher Niramisa, if I were to call that way, is that when the mind stops, when there is no breath, and the mind stops, then what happens? There is no binding to anything.
I see.
Okay, now what
that makes sense.
Now what happens, I'll tell you. It's not that body becomes light. It is go even more further. It's in that Niramisa, sometimes you get goosebumps and all that. Whereas here, you will not get that. You will feel yourself everywhere.
Okay.
In anything you experience, you are experiencing as totality, not as an individuality.
Okay.
So that would be the experience when you say it's a pleasure, because now you don't have fear, because you are everything.
Because for me, from what I can experience in the jhana, there is a fear of losing the jhana, right? You kind of want to maintain it.
Right.
That's always there. It's like, because it may go away the next second or something. So there's an effort.
So here you will not have that, and it will be not just pleasing. It is something different. Like, you no longer attach any importance to anything. You no longer value anything. You no longer feel dependent on anything. You don't no longer feel like you are an associated with anything or anyone, because you see yourself in everything. It's not that you are separated out of anything. See, the fear comes because of separation.
Yeah.
See, right now, no matter how much we do, our view is that we feel separated.
Right.
Okay, so we always see ourselves as an individual, divided. Here you look it as unified.
Okay. I guess it's just the general nibbana experience where you don't feel there's past and future.
Yes.
You just exactly
correct
be, and then you see the anicca nature of the five aggregate, and then complete stillness.
Yes.
Okay. And that's superior than the Niramisa in the jhana.
Yes. And you see there, just below that, he talks about spiritual equanimity, and then he talks about even more spiritual equanimity.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of what I was wondering.
So now he says, Now, Yako bhikkave khinasava bhikkhuno ragachittam vimuktam pachavekkato dosachittam vimuktam pachavekkato mohachittam ayam uchati bhikkave niramisatara upekha. Okay, now that was a pleasure. Now you know what is going to happen. You literally feel equanimous to any situations. Like he is giving a differentiation. You see, in the sensual world also you will feel that
Indifference.
Indifference.
Yeah.
Okay, now here you are indifferent as in totality.
Yeah.
Okay, and the higher one is that you don't have anything pulling. So now you might say, then why Niramisa extension, if we were to call? So that means it is also Samisa only, right? No, it's not like that. You have suppressed it, so it is not gone. Here it doesn't exist. So when he says, see, the thing is, first and foremost, when we start on the jhana, he explains that. He says, vivichehi kamehi, that many people forget about it. You are suppressing it, you are pushing it down, and then entering into jhana by suppressing them, and you get that effect, which is niramisa when compared to the material thing or the rupa or all that. That is, compared to that, this is far better. But the best is this one, when you don't have raga dvesha.
Question. So let's say you go to the ninth jhana, where the mind is still, right? Can that work via suppression, or that has to be this niramisa attara upeka?
I didn't understand your question.
No, I guess my question is, can you enter the ninth jhana via suppression? Or the ninth jhana is always
not possible.
Complete release? Okay.
So at that time, what should happen? When you not only suppress, you come back and you cleanse the mind out of raga, dvesha, moha. That is the chittas. See, when we say mind, that is a problem. Mind means something else. So mind is the chitta. So in the chitta, first we need to understand what is chitta itself. Chit is light. Chitta is a stream of light. So let me give you a good example so you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Let us say you are in a movie theater and that light is coming from the projector. That is chitta. Okay, that's a stream of light is coming there. And there is this film which is placed on top of that. With that light, it is turning, and that film is projected onto the screen. Clear till now?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Can the chitta, well, when you say purifying the chitta, do you mean purifying the film or purifying the light source?
At this point in time, how it is coming on the screen?
It's coming through the film.
Yes, it is playing the film.
Yes.
Let us say the film is you. The screen is you. Right? Don't you take the film to be you?
Right. Yes.
Right. So what you need to do is to put on the bigger light than this projector light.
Yeah, I think you said sampajanya.
Sampajanya, right? So now if you put that bigger light, what happens? The smaller light will get submerged in the bigger light.
So I guess my question is...
Wait, I'll tell you. I got your question. Wait for a second. So now the film is playing, but then you can't see it.
Right.
Right? So to that extent, you have clarity. So that is called suppression.
Okay.
Okay, that is what is vivichehi kamehi vivichehi akusala dhammehi. That is what it is.
Okay.
Right? See,
Sure.
earlier they were sitting in darkness and watching the movie. Now they are watching the same movie with light, with bright light. So this gets, the sound is heard, everything is happening, but you can't see anything much. So you lose that
Okay.
interest. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Using the same wisdom, prajna or panya, you remove the film itself, then what happens?
Right. Then there's no defilement.
So the chitta was it there in the chitta, or chitta had it, or it's part of the chitta, or where it is?
I mean, it was part of the asava, right?
It seemed as though it is part of the chitta. So the asavas were flowing like this movie clips.
right. Yeah.
Now you removed it off, threw it off, which is raga, dvesha, moha.
Yeah.
So when you remove it, now what happens? This is also light and that is also light, right?
Yes. So it's the same light, right? So that's why I got confused, because I thought chitta is pure and bright. So when you say purifying the chitta, it makes me think the chitta itself is defiled.
No, you just read the sutta. He says cleaning the chitta.
Okay.
You read in Pali, don't read it in English. The English word they'll always put is mind. So you will never understand, you will never see what is put down there.
Okay.
See, he says chittam virajjeti. Virajjeti means removes. Rajja is raga. So from the chitta he is removing the raga. Anywhere in the suttas, you see, he talks about chitta cleaning. Read.
Yes. But it also says, I forgot the pabasaram midam.
Pabasaram idam chittam, that is correct. The original chitta is pure and bright, but it has turned itself into vinyana, right?
Right, okay. At that point, it's already not the chitta, right? So it's more of cleansing the...
It's not like, see, you don't use mathematics in everything. See, it is the same chitta, but it has got dirt.
Okay.
Right? It has got defilement. That's the reason it's called defiled chitta, right? Defiled mind.
Okay.
What is a defiled mind? Is nothing but defiled chitta.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
What Buddha says is pabhasaram idam chittam. That chitta is shining with light in all the direction. But with a problem is that it has color. Okay. So when the sight comes, the chitta doesn't remain as chitta. It immediately becomes vinyana.
Yeah, definitely.
It becomes chakku vinyana now. Or what really it means? What is that it means? It means that this projector light doesn't remain any longer as a projector light. It puts a film on top of that.
Yeah.
And that movie screen is the mind. Okay.
Yes.
Which is mano. Or manas, whatever you want to call.
Yes.
That will come to life. That will come to life because it has something called jivita indriya. So the chitta has 7 chetasika.
Yes.
Right? So every chitta carries 7 chetasika. So first one, it has contact, phassa. Then it has vedana. Then it has sanya. Then it has chetana. Then it has jivita indriya. Then it has ekagata. Then it has manasikara. All the chittas carry these 7. So it is universal chetasika.
Okay.
Which is in English called as concatenaments or mental object or whatever they have put it, but that's actually in the stream you have these 7 things coming also. Okay, so if somebody says that I'm feeling, where is the feeling coming? In the chitta. If somebody says I'm perceiving, then where that is coming? It's again coming in chitta. If somebody says there's something touching, that's also coming in the chitta. Phassa is also there in the chitta. And then if somebody says that, well, I'm able to concentrate, where is that coming? In the chitta through Chetasika. Now, if somebody says that you should have, what is that? A proper reflection, Yoniso Manasikara, where that is coming? Again in the Chetasika, but flowing in the chitta. So everything which is coming with relation to what is called as mind has chitta and Chetasika. Clear? All that you can take, that is sankharas, then you take the Vedana and Sanya, these three are appearing in the chitta only. It's not appearing elsewhere.
You could also say appear.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying you can also say those three appear in the Vijnana also, right?
No, because of Vijnana they appear. So now you have you have Rupa plus mind, which is Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara and Vijnana. Based upon the Rupa, you have Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. Based upon the Rupa. The experience which is coming to you is coming from where? It is coming from the Chitta. So now the question comes. Isn't it also part of the Chitta? Yes, it is. But to understand properly, he has split it up. Otherwise, he is only Nama and Rupa. The Nama includes all of this and Rupa remains as Rupa. So depending upon the Rupa which has come, the mind, what we call as mind, in English is Manas. And that Manas has Chitta as the initial thing. And that has a thing called as perception. That is, it can perceive, which we can call it as intellect or intelligence. So attentive intelligent means what is being said is on the Chitta. The Chittas are coming along with the intelligence. Because it can have memory also of what has been spoken, what has been done, and all that is in the Chitta. So it has the Chitta itself, which is the light, then there is intellect, then there is this self. I am the self. That is also coming because there is Jivita Indriya, which takes on the object, and then you feel I am seeing, I am tasting, I am touching, and all that. Okay?
And the less impurities there is, the chitta that comes are more pure and has more wisdom in it.
Yeah. So now what is our step? First step approach is, you have, like in Dveda Vitakka Sutta, what he has explained is that two types of thoughts, two kinds, which is nothing but chitta only. One chitta which is pure, another that is noble, another chitta is not noble or not pure. So one chitta looks at renunciation, another chitta looks at Kama Sukha. Okay, so these two are flowing together.
Yes.
Right now, nobody asks this question: who is observing it then? So this is where Buddha remains silent, because till you finish it, you can't really see what is happening. Because if you are watching, see, now the problem comes: who is watching then? In the Dvida Vitakka Sutta, he is saying, I am watching. And also in the Mahasatipattana Sutta, he talks about watching. Now, what is this watching? He says, Saragam va chittam, saragam chittam pajanati. Who is this watching it? Pajanati is to know. There should be somebody to know, right?
See, it's a sampajanya, right?
No. Pajanati is one part. Sampajanya is another part. Both form the part. Both is same, but there's difference. So we will not come to Sampajanya right now. Now, if you look at the Chitta Anupassana, what does it start? If you really see it,
Saragam va chitta.
Saragam va chittam, saragam chittam pajanati. Pajanati means to know, not completely know and observe or continue.
Vitaragam chitam, vitaraga chitta pajanati.
Pajanana means is to know. That's all. It's not about, it's being aware is pajanana. Mindfulness is sampajanya. Okay. Now nobody asked this question. That means somebody should be sitting there to watch it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if the chitta were to watch itself, what is there to watch? It itself is doing it then.
Yeah. I think I sent you a question earlier today. I mean, this is more, I read this in some kind of Mahayana kind of circle where they put this thing called the eighth consciousness.
Yeah, I read that.
The one. Yeah, I guess that's the one that Buddha does not talk about.
Yes. So there is one consciousness which is always available, which will end when there is no fuel being added.
Yeah.
These are 6 consciousness. So even in the Maha Tanha Kaya Sutta, okay, in that Sati, the fisherman, he keeps on saying that is the same consciousness which goes into every existence, and he says no. When did I teach you this? What he's talking is this 6 consciousness, which is already there. It's aware, and that is the one which creates this illusion. But he doesn't talk about that consciousness which is witnessing everything. If Buddha would have spoken of that, it would have caused even more confusion. So he remains silent, because even that consciousness which is onlooking will end the moment these 6 consciousness ends. Okay, so what is not going to come back, like in the Gandhabba, so that he has explained it in Mahanidana Sutta, where he asked this question. Tell me one thing, Ananda, if the consciousness were not to enter into the mother's womb, will there be anything called as an eye or the ear and nose and tongue and all that? No. Can you designate anything? No. So what it really means here is that this consciousness which has come is witnessing everything as it goes by, and depending upon the inputs, there is this consciousness, this eye consciousness and ear consciousness and nose consciousness, 6 consciousness, they come and go in front of this. And since both are consciousness only, that is, this is also Vijnana and that is also Vijnana, now the problem is like the movie theater. The big light is also part of that projector, and projector is also part of this big light, because they both are light eventually. Okay. Now, after this life, when we say parinibbana, so Buddha gives this example. He says, it is like the light going off. Which light going off? 6 lights going off, or this light which is watching going off? It is this light which will now go off, because it doesn't have a fuel. It will not exist in the Rupa, it will not exist in the Arupa also. Okay. Now another question can be asked. Then who is making wish to go into this life and that life? The wish is through the 6 sense doors. And that this consciousness will get established wherever it should be established, for the 6 senses to function. So then what Buddha did is a very interesting thing, is that he first looked at cutting the senses from the sense object, and then in the Samanaphala Sutta, he explains how that mental body now comes out. Right? And that is the one which gets extinguished at once the Nibbana, or once it becomes Arhat. Once it reaches the Arhat Phala Samapatti, the 6 sense door consciousness is pure now. There's no movie playing. It's only light, and there's only light. This is also light,
Mhm.
that is also light. Both are light only now, right? There's
Sure.
no distortion. Now,
Mhm.
because there is no distortion, when the jivita indriya, which has come along with the six senses, gets completely exhausted,
Mhm.
there is no need for this consciousness to re-establish anywhere,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
hence gets extinguished because there is no fuel. The six sense door with the consciousness are the fuel. Now this
Yeah.
is not there as a fuel. So what happens? So Mara will come. So there is another sutta where the one guy will be cutting his slit.
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
And then what he says, he has already completed journey. Means what? He has cut out all the six sense doors and six sense object. Nothing is happening. Now if he
Mhm.
cuts his slit, what happens? The body, the consciousness will now depart from the body.
Mhm.
Okay, that is a consciousness which arrived with the body. Now the same consciousness will now depart. Now that will depart to another destination using the six senses.
Mm. Mm.
Now the six senses are no longer there. That is, there is no fuel.
Mm. Okay.
And hence Mara will go there to check. I will take this Vijnana, and he'll find that there is no Vijnana there because it got extinguished.
Yes. Yes.
That's what it is. So Buddha, what
Mhm.
he has done, he has kept it in a very low thing because at that point in time, people had this view of
Mm.
Atma, Anatma.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So they always felt that this Atma, which is the one which goes from one body to another body, exists permanently.
Mhm.
Why?
Mhm.
Because it has seen all the experiences, so it is able to reflect back on all the experiences, and hence it knows everything. Even though the six sense doors are giving a separate consciousness, this is a witness, so it has witnessed everything and hence exist. And then people wish to have anatma. That means there is nothing called as atma, and what happens at death is that both will get extinguished.
Mhm.
Okay, that becomes annihilation,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
this becomes always eternal.
Yes. Yes.
Buddha wanted to stay on the middle path, so he didn't really say it's atma or anatma.
Yeah. Because
He
both are wrong views.
Both are wrong view. So what he did, he only stood with dukkha. What is dukkha? What is dukkha samudaya? What is dukkha nirodha? What is dukkha nirodha gamini patipada? He didn't talk
Mhm.
about whether atma exists or doesn't exist. He didn't answer about
Mhm.
whether it is anatma or no anatma, and does it will you exist after this, will you not exist after this, will you exist and not exist after this. So many questions, because
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
ultimately come to the same question. Why? Because
Yeah.
there is an onlooker. Okay, there's a
Mhm.
witness, and there is six consciousness. This one is watching whatever is happening in the eye, in the ear, in the nose, in the tongue, in the body, and in the mind.
Yes. Mhm.
But it is not doing anything, it's not getting attached here. Whereas this one is arising with the eye and departing with the eye, arising with the ear, departing with the ear, arising with the tongue and departing with the sound, the tongue,
Mm.
like that, right?
In your example, this is the thief, and that one watching is the police.
Police. So now the problem here is that why the police is required? What happens to police? He should be existing all the time, right? So now
Yeah.
we'll come to the same problem: police
Yeah.
annihilation or police eternal.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Because Sampajanya is a police,
Yes. Yes.
right? He now observes. So what Buddha did, instead of taking on this path, he exactly explained what is
Yes.
required. So now if you really see, so we have Pajanana. So you watch. So he used a beautiful term called as Manasikara. And he said, Yoniso Manasikara, Ayoniso Manasikara. Yoniso Manasikara is this police. Ayoniso Manasikara is this police is now become a thief himself. So,
Yes. Yes. Identified with the thief.
because now with the eye, that also enjoys, he enjoys.
Yeah.
So it commits offense, and this guy will say, okay, no problem, even I am enjoying it, it's okay.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I was reading the eighth consciousness that I was referring to. That I think that the wiki said it's mentioned in Yogacara, which is the same one that the Chinese monk brought back to China, right? That's the Yogacara school.
Yogacara. So it is the
Yogacara. Okay.
Vasubandhus.
Okay. Okay. So a sidetrack question: the monk who has to cut his, I think there are two sutta where he has to slit his wrist, and one monk was having trouble establishing in the ninth jhana, right? So he did that. That means he become a arahat at death, right?
Correct.
Per the definition,
Correct.
he's not able to establish an arahat.
Correct.
So but at death he was able to establish.
Correct. Very true.
Okay. Okay. I guess another somewhat related question, since this ninth jhana is brought up. So I had a discussion with Harshal a while back on the ninth jhana. So I think what he understood is that the Sanya Vedit Nirodha happens only for 7 days, right? But that's when all the senses are completely cut off. But in what you seem to be describing, the arhat can be in the ninth jhana, even with the senses, not in the sitting meditation with all the senses cut off, right? So that can also happen. So these two, are they the same thing or slightly different variation?
Okay. That I think he shouldn't have this confusion. It is there in the Mahavedana Sutta itself, and in fact he asked exactly the same question. He exactly asked the same question, and what he says, you can determine as many days, as many time you want, and then he says, how does he come back to the? Then again he comes back with nimitta. So first he makes it animitta. Then if you make it animitta, there is nothing there. Then you can stay forever. So what these people do when they go into the solitude, they just cut off everything.
But this 7-day thing, it's a
7-day
different
thing is a concept. Okay, when you turn into arhat, meaning, let's say you were to completely cut off consciousness, what it really means is this way: you will not have any consciousness in the 6 senses,
right?
Which means there is no breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then it's up to you to come back or not to come back, but the body might not hold your force for 7 days. Beyond 7 days is one way of treating in Theravada.
Okay.
But if you were to go around the sutta to search for that, you will not find even one.
Okay.
It's a general belief. It's a general belief that you will automatically come back in 7 days.
Okay. Okay. So in Arhat case, he can be in that unless he needs to interact with person, where he needs the nibbita.
And then in the Maha Shunyata Sutta, you should read that.
Okay.
Ananda asked this question: how do you interact with people?
Mm-hmm.
You are talking about shunyata. That means emptiness. That's exactly what the state of ninth jhana is.
Mm-hmm.
So now you tell me, how do you interact? So he explains when these people come, how he sits, how he talks, how he does, and all that, and how the other people will do if they are not in that state.
Mm-hmm.
All the questions are answered there. It's not a.
Okay, really, I'll read that.
Yeah, like
Mahasunyata Sutta.
Mahasunyata Sutta also is there. Chula Shunyata Sutta is also. In the Chula Shunyata Sutta, he mentions little bit, but in the Mahasunyata Sutta, he explains that only, basically.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Great.
So that you will come to know as an arhat how they would have interacted.
Okay, makes sense. Awesome. Okay, that's my question so far.
Okay, so then we will end as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Bila.
Yeah, sure. It is already 12:35 or something like that for you.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
All right then.
All right.
Have a good
All
night.
right.
See you. Bye bye.
Have a good night. See you. Bye bye.